Humans smiled after death claimed them. That sentence should not exist. Nothing smiles after death. Not on any recorded world. Not in any civilized galaxy. Yet I watched it happen. I am Vekshar of the collective memory. I remember everything my species has ever seen. Our minds never forget. That blessing became my curse the day I met the human. The Academy floated above the gas giant Nerith. Every intelligent species sent their brightest minds there. We studied diplomacy, physics, war, history, mostly history, because history kept civilizations alive. Or so we believed. My classroom held 32 species. Some breathed chlorine. Some floated inside liquid tanks. Some communicated with flashes of ultraviolet light. Every seat was carefully calculated. Predators separated from prey. Venomous students isolated. Territorial species given private corners. Peace required mathematics. Then the human arrived. The administrators looked strangely nervous. They changed nothing. The empty seat beside me remained empty. Until him. The classroom doors opened. The human entered carrying only a small bag. Average height. 2 eyes. 2 arms. No visible armor. No claws worth mentioning. No venom sacs. No protective shell. Completely unimpressive. I relaxed. The database described humans as adaptable omnivores. Moderately dangerous. Social. Curious. Nothing extraordinary. He looked around the room. Every species quietly observed him. He smiled. Then he walked directly toward my row. Toward me. I assumed he had made a navigation error. My species secretes acidic spores during stress. Most beings avoided sitting nearby. He stopped beside my desk. Taken. That was all he asked. His translator rendered the single word. I stared. He interpreted my silence as permission. He sat. Every conversation stopped. Every single one. Even the insect hive in the back ceased vibrating. The room became perfectly silent. At first, I believed the others feared contaminating the newcomer. Reasonable. He was fragile. Then I noticed something impossible. The predators looked frightened. Not cautious. Frightened. A massive rock hunter slowly lowered all 4 heads. Its species hunted lava whales. Nothing frightened them. The crystalline assassin from Sector 8 dimmed her light. The venom priest folded every limb beneath his body. Even Professor Thalen paused before speaking. Why? The human simply organized his writing tools. Completely ordinary. I concluded the class was preparing a traditional greeting ritual. Humans-inspired ceremony. That explanation satisfied me. For nearly 5 minutes. Professor Thalen activated the holographic projector. Today's lesson concerns Deathworld ecosystems. Interesting. Many students became excited. Deathworlds fascinated us. They produced monsters. Gigantic predators. Living disasters. Evolution without mercy. The first image appeared. A black forest. Dense fog. Towering trees. My memory instantly recognized it. Earth. The human's home. Professor Thalen highlighted several glowing dots. Apex predator density exceeds acceptable galactic limits. Several students trembled. Reasonable. Earth contained bears. Large feline hunters. Pack predators. Venomous reptiles. Countless lethal organisms. The professor continued. No world should support this many dominant killers simultaneously. The human raised one finger. I have a question. The professor hesitated. That alone disturbed me. Teachers never hesitated. Proceed. The human tilted his head. Which apex predator? Confusion spread across the classroom. The professor enlarged the image. All of them. The human blinked. No. Which one? Professor Thalen frowned. The bears. Oh. The human leaned back. I thought you meant mosquitoes. Laughter never came. Instead, several alien students quietly checked their translation devices. Surely something had failed. Mosquitoes? Tiny flying parasites? Impossible. The human appeared serious. Professor Thalen ignored the comment. Another image replaced the forest. An ocean. Dark. Endless. Massive shadows moved beneath the waves. Earth's oceans remain largely unexplored. The professor's voice grew slower. Unknown organisms continue to be discovered. I expected concern from the human. Instead, he whispered something. Yep, only one word. Just one. Not fear. Not surprise. Agreement. I reached a logical conclusion. Humans suffered from inaccurate risk assessment. Their brains simply failed to recognize danger. Primitive. Unfortunate. Entirely explainable. Then the emergency lights flashed red. Every door sealed instantly. Gravity shifted. The academy shook. Students panicked. Professor Thalen activated defensive barriers. An announcement echoed through every room. Containment failure in biological research wing. Silence followed. Then another message. Level black. My blood froze. Level black had existed only twice. Both times entire stations vanished. The holographic display disappeared. Security maps filled the room instead. One blinking marker moved rapidly. Too rapidly. Professor Thalen stared at it. No. Someone whispered. What escaped? No answer came. Then the database identified the creature. Designation. VX 991. Recovered from an unnamed death world beyond explored space. Threat assessment. Planetary extinction. Several students screamed. One fainted immediately. The security feed appeared. Only static. Then, a hallway. Destroyed. Metal walls peeled open. Security drones crushed flat. Something enormous moved just outside the camera's view. The feed ended. Nobody breathed. Even I could not process what I had seen. Professor Thalen ordered everyone against the far wall. We obeyed instantly. Everyone, except the human. He remained seated, calmly, looking at the emergency display. I clicked my mandibles in warning. He looked at me. You should move. Simple advice. I admired his concern. Clearly he did not understand. The predator is approaching. He nodded. I know. Still, he did not move. Ridiculous. I concluded humans entered paralysis during extreme fear. An unfortunate biological flaw. The classroom doors suddenly dented inward. Once. Twice. A third impact split reinforced alloy. Students cried out. Professor Thalen armed an emergency pulse weapon. His hand shook. The fourth impact tore the doors completely away. Something entered. It barely fit. Its body flowed between solid and liquid. 6 glowing eyes. Too many jaws. Bones visible beneath transparent flesh. Its scent overwhelmed every sensory organ I possessed. Death. Ancient death. The creature looked around the classroom. Searching. Hunting. Every instinct inside me screamed to run. There was nowhere to run. The predator slowly advanced. Toward us. Toward the terrified line of students. Then, it stopped. Its 6 eyes shifted. Not toward the professor. Not toward the armed guards arriving outside. Toward the human. The room became impossibly still. The monster lowered itself. Slowly. Deliberately. Then crossed the shattered floor. And sat beside the human like an obedient companion. No one moved. No one spoke. Not even the creature. The human sighed, as if mildly inconvenienced. Then he reached into his bag. My first thought was absurd. Food. Of course. Humans solved everything with food. I believed I understood the pattern. I was catastrophically wrong. The human removed nothing. His hand stopped halfway inside the bag. The creature's 6 eyes never left him. Its breathing slowed. The entire classroom remained frozen. I reached the only logical conclusion. The predator had selected its first meal. Humans always delayed the inevitable. Perhaps they believed stillness confused hunters. Primitive. Hopeless. The human looked at the monster. Then he quietly said one sentence. You really found me again. Again? The translator confirmed it. Again. Professor Thalen lowered his weapon. Not by choice. His hands simply failed. The predator leaned closer. Its transparent skull reflected the emergency lights. I expected jaws, teeth, blood. Instead, it touched its forehead against the human shoulder. Softly, like greeting family. My memory searched billions of recorded encounters. No apex predator had ever greeted prey. Never. The room stayed silent. The human slowly scratched the side of the creature's neck. The monster closed all 6 eyes. A low vibration filled the room. Pleasure. Impossible. My thoughts fractured. No, this was deception. The predator was pretending, waiting for weakness. Every predator did that. Every predator except... No, humans could not rewrite instinct. Professor Thalen finally found his voice. What are you doing? The human never looked away from the creature, keeping him calm. Him? He assigned it identity, individuality, companionship, to planetary extinction. Security teams surrounded the doorway. Heavy plasma cannons charged. One officer whispered, "Take the shot." The human instantly raised one hand. "Don't." The officer hesitated. That hesitation saved us. The predator turned one eye toward the glowing weapons. Every light fixture exploded. Every electronic display died. The air itself bent. Gravity twisted. Half the classroom collapsed. 3 soldiers were thrown into the ceiling. The monster had not attacked. It had merely become nervous. The human sighed. That's exactly why I said don't. He continued scratching behind its jaw. The creature settled again. Gravity returned. I could no longer understand reality. Professor Thalen swallowed. You know this organism? The human nodded once. Sort of. Sort of? There was no category between stranger and extinction. The professor stared. The human finally explained. We call them Echo. Called? Named? You do not name disasters. You survive them. Or you die. The human noticed our expressions. Oh, I should probably explain. Nobody interrupted. Nobody dared. About 12 years ago, my exploration team found an unstable rift beyond mapped space. My breathing stopped. Every civilization avoided unstable rifts. Humans explored them. Naturally, we found a dying world. The entire ecosystem had collapsed. Everything was hunting everything. Except one baby. Baby? Every student looked back at the creature. It was larger than a shuttle. The human smiled faintly. He fit in my arms back then. No predator became that. No prey survived raising it. It was injured. It was starving. So, he shrugged. I took him home. Half the classroom lost consciousness. Not metaphorically. Literally. Several species collapsed where they stood. The human continued, as though discussing weather. My apartment landlord wasn't thrilled. Even the soldiers stared. I had to move. The predator gently nudged his shoulder. The human laughed. You always hated apartments. The monster made another deep vibration. Affection. It was affection. Everything we believed about apex predators collapsed before my eyes. Then I noticed something worse. Much worse. The creature was afraid. Not of weapons. Not of soldiers. Afraid of losing the human. I had seen fear before. Parents. Children. Lifelong companions. This monster felt all of it. Professor Thalen whispered. Why did it escape containment? The human's face changed. The smile disappeared. He didn't escape. Everyone stared. He woke up. Silence. They took him while he was sedated. They told me he died during transport. His voice became colder. I believed them. The soldiers slowly lowered their weapons. One officer quietly deactivated his cannon. The human stood. Echo immediately stood beside him. The ceiling suddenly felt too small. I've been searching for him. My thoughts raced. Everything finally aligned. The creature had not hunted through the station. It had searched every destroyed hallway, every broken security door, every crushed drone. None had been eaten. None. The monster had ignored thousands of easier targets. It wanted only one thing. The human. I had been wrong. Again. Security Commander Rel entered cautiously. We only wanted to study it. The human looked at him. No. His voice remained calm. You wanted to own him. Nobody answered. Because nobody could. Echo lowered his massive head. The human rested one hand upon transparent flesh. Then alarms sounded again. Different alarms. Hull breach. The station shook violently. Professor Thalen activated an emergency display. A pirate fleet. 32 warships. They had hidden outside sensor range. The biological containment failure had been a distraction. Now they attacked. Energy shields collapsed across the academy. Students screamed. The commander cursed. We can't defend the station. Another explosion rocked the classroom. The human quietly looked toward the stars. Then at Echo. No words. None were needed. Echo understood. He always had. The predator turned. Walked through the destroyed wall. Then, it did something no law of physics allowed. Its body dissolved into impossible light. The light poured into space. Straight through reinforced alloy. Without damaging it. Every sensor overloaded. Outside, the pirate flagship disappeared. Not exploded. Disappeared. Space folded around Echo. One warship became dust. Another froze solid. A third simply ceased existing. Entire fleets scattered. Echo never chased them. He only stood between the Academy and the attackers. Like a shield. Like a guardian. Within 3 minutes, the battle ended. The surviving pirates fled beyond sensor range. No pursuit. No massacre. Only protection. Echo returned. He stepped back into the classroom. Untouched. Silent. He sat beside the human again. Exactly where class had begun. The room remained silent. Nobody dared breathe. Nobody would ever sit in that seat again. Professor Thalen slowly faced the class. The lesson, his voice cracked, has changed. For the first time in my life, my perfect memory failed, because nothing I knew could explain humanity. We had spent centuries believing humans survived because they conquer monsters. We were wrong. Humans survived because, sometimes, the monsters love them. I still remember the impossible sentence that destroyed everything I believed. Humans smiled after death claimed them. Now I finally understand why. Death itself had once chosen to sit beside one, and refused to let go. That I still remember the impossible sentence that destroyed everything I believed. Humans smiled after death claimed them. Now I finally understand why. Death itself had once chosen to sit beside one, and refused to let go. And from that day forward, no one in the Academy ever dared to sit in that seat again. Not because they feared the monster, but because they finally understood the truth. Sometimes, the greatest predator in the universe isn't the creature standing beside a human. It's the human who taught that creature how to protect instead of destroy. If you enjoyed this HFY story and want more epic sci-fi adventures where humanity defies the impossible, don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow sci-fi fans, and subscribe to the channel for more original HFY stories every week. Until next time, remember, the galaxy feared the predator. It never realized the human beside it was the impossible one.